welcome back to some Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I should see what's going on a lovely island of Fawnhollow today in a very late episode of Animal Crossing because I was busy for most of the day, mainly because I was seeing a friend, and this friend has the most adorable dog. I was gonna say you've ever seen, but you haven't seen it. You just have to take my word for it. But his dog is absolutely adorable, precious sweetheart. Like I've seen pictures of his dog before, but this is the first time I actually seeing it in person. Seeing it in person, and it is so cute. But anyway, good evening everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 11:39 p.m. on Thursday, August 17th, 2023. Oh, visitors staying at the campsite. I guess we'll be paying them a late night visit, but yeah, the dog is like a mini Dachshund. Yeah, and apparently that's how you meant to say it. It's something like that, isn't it? Because it's like German. It's like Dachshund rather than Dachshund, which is I don't know if that's actually right or not, but honestly, Dachshund sounds like pretty cool. So, even if it's not right, part of me is like, maybe I'll just say it this way anyway. But yeah, it's like a miniature Dachshund or whatever you want to call it, and it's adorable. It has the most like adorable eyes like I've ever seen. Accessory stand. But yeah, apart from that, it wasn't like anything crazy or something. You just met up. We just had dinner, had a drink, or just one drink. I was gonna say a drink or two because that's like the phrase, but no, we just had the one drink, and yeah, and then we just walked about with the dog for a bit. She's very adorable. Old-fashioned sort. Okay, so this is Apollo, probably. But yeah, what was I think most interesting, I suppose, is the fact that we were at a dog-friendly restaurant. We're in London, unsurprisingly. Well, maybe that's not unsurprisingly, but yeah, it's like we start. I can't even remember what the restaurant's called off the top of my head, but it was a dog-friendly restaurant, which is not something I've really considered all that often. Like I don't own a dog. I've never owned a dog. The largest animal I've ever owned was like a rabbit, probably. I've probably spoken about this before. The pets I've had when I was younger, we had like a pet goldfish, had a pet, rabbit, I had a pet hamster, pet turtle at some point, but they're all quite small pets, I suppose. They're very much like most of them can fit in your hand, except for rabbits, which can fit in like two hands maybe. So I've never had like a dog or a cat or anything like that, or like a particularly outdoorsy animal. I mean, I guess the rabbits were quite outdoorsy, but fair. Yeah, so I never really considered the fact that there would be restaurants like that were specifically tailored to be dog friendly or anything like that. But it makes sense, especially in a much more metropolitan sort of area like London. There's not as much like greenery, there's not as much like countryside-ish and nature about, which is certainly what I'm much more used to, I think. I'm pretty used to living in areas where it is, reasonably like rural. Well, not like extremely rural. Not like, maybe rural is a wrong word, but more like suburbia sort of thing, where it's like, it's just basically just like a residential area, and there's just like a lot of nature about. It's obviously very different in London, where you don't have nearly as many green spaces, to be perfectly honest. You have like you have some parks here and there, some dog parks especially, but it's not as frequent, especially in central London. You'll have very few like actual sort of green areas. Like you have some of the green areas, I suppose, which are in London. If you're used to actual like green areas, like in like a a country in the countryside or something, you'd be like, what? It's like the size of like half a field or something, not even a quarter of a field or something. And that's like all the countryside, which is fair, that's just kind of like how metropolitan cities like develop. What's the word? Urban sprawl or something develops. Some like geography means my terms. I was gonna say gentrification, and gentrification is like kind of different. It's like when you like improve an area, right? Through like building up like its services and like it's investing in an area or something like that. So I never really thought about the fact about you need a dog-friendly restaurant and what a dog-friendly restaurant even entails, to be honest. Like, I mean, obviously, the first thing of a dog-friendly restaurant accept a dog, dogs are allowed in. Fair enough. But the second thing was like we actually brought over like a bowl of water for the dog. You know, there were many other dogs about as well. Like, or not. No, it wasn't like a dog focused restaurant where it was like you need a dog to enter or anything. It was just like dog accepting, where it was basically you could just like sit there, you know, have a quick meal. Well, maybe not quick meal. It's like a gastropub, I suppose is probably what I describe it, but you're allowed dogs, which makes sense because I feel like it fits that sort of like much more relaxed, loose vibe, right? So yeah, they brought in like a bowl of water for the dog, which was nice, you know. Like, what can I say? I don't know if it had like dog treats or anything like that. I don't know. I suppose there's probably a difference to being like dog friendly and dog like catering, right? I don't know how necessarily common it is to go to like a dog friendly restaurant and have them like also provide a meal for the dog. I guess that's kind of like presumptuous, because, you know, I guess if you were a dog owner and you were going out for a meal, you'd probably be like, you know, let's kind of like feed the dog either before we go or like when we come back or something, depending on exactly how the timelines line up, right? But maybe you can have like dog treats. Oh, hold on, this isn't yours. I forgot, we need to go find a pollet first before we do anything. So yeah, I don't know, like I never really considered a dog friendly restaurant or dog friendly services like in general. Yeah, but like again, it's probably just because like I'm not a dog owner. I don't really think, you know, when I go about like my day-to-day sort of activities, I don't normally think, you know, how would my like dog fit into whatever activity I'm doing or something, because, you know, like I don't have a dog. It literally doesn't cross my mind, which is very much, you know, I'm saying a lot about a little, really. It's, you know, quite a normal human thing. You don't tend to as often think about scenarios which don't affect you, I suppose, as much as you think about scenarios which do affect you or have an impact on you, right? But, you know, I don't know necessarily how common, like, dog-friendly, like, what's the word, like, public, I don't want to say public areas, because then that makes me think of, like, parks, and, like, obviously parks are, like, I haven't, this is like a converse, I've not seen a dog unfriendly park or like a dog enemy park where it's like you're not allowed dogs in here, but I can't really think of like many places which are just like, yeah, you know, you're allowed your dog in here. Like the one I always think about is where I grew up. It was like the high street, where, you know, there was a supermarket where, well, I shouldn't say supermarket, it was more like a local market, a local shop, where it's not really a grocery store or whatever, and there was always like dogs tied like to the waiting outside, I suppose, because it's like, you know, dogs aren't allowed in or whatever. And there was a big sign being like, the only dogs allowed in are guide dogs, which is fair enough, you know, guide dogs should probably be allowed in, like, well, everywhere, right? And I mean, I don't know if there's a particularly good justification for a guide dog not to be allowed somewhere, except for like I guess it's dangerous for the dog, maybe. But then I guess it would also probably be dangerous of a human to, you know, not have a guide dog with them. I don't really know what I was going with that, to be honest, conversationally, but yeah, I don't know. That's always what I picture when I think about dog friendly or unfriendly, I suppose. Public services, public areas, and public areas again, it's not really the right word, but I can't like think of any place off the top of my head which is like, yeah, this is dog friendly. Although actually, there's a store nearby me which leaves out like it's not a pail of water. What's like a dog bowl of water for any dogs, which I guess, like, I don't know if it was like necessarily strays or anything, or just the ones which are left outside the establishment, just so they can have a bit of water, which is totally fair, you know. Like, dogs should probably like stay hydrated and all that, right? Or you'd want dogs to stay hydrated. I assume, like, even if you don't like animals, and, you know, I think it's certainly the act of cruelty to be like, you know, I don't, you know, you animal don't deserve water. And it's like, what? That's very much a sort of like, why situation, IMO. I don't really know what I'm going about. Let's talk around like around with reasonability, you know. It's like very much a normal human reaction to be like, yeah, you know, dogs should have water. I mean, like, people should have water as well, to be honest. I don't really know where I was going in conversation with this. This is very much sort of like a classic Dear Darling nothing conversation. But yeah, like, dog-friendly areas, I suppose, in general. I don't know really what constitutes, like, a dog-friendly area. Like, I guess maybe this is, like, part of my own ignorance, but, like, if it's an outside area, then I don't see why. You are... It's like Shani or something? Shari, that's it. If your area is like has an outside establishment, then I guess it why not just like have it be dog friendly? You know, seating outside in a restaurant. You know, why not be dog friendly? I guess, you know, therein lies the problem of, you know, while we'd love to have every single person who owns a dog be a good dog owner, probably a lot of them, I shouldn't say a lot of them, that's probably a bit presumptuous, but there are still people who are bad dog owners, and, you know, that would probably cause more issues than establishments particularly want to deal with. I see. Again, I'm neither a dog owner nor an establishment owner, so, you know, what do I really know? But I don't know, I feel like most dogs I see, like, on a daily basis, on a common basis, are just like, they're pretty well behaved. Not maybe like, oh, you're ill, unfortunately we can't get you medicine. I'm not necessarily going to say that they're like perfect or anything, but most of them just sort of like chill there, right? I mean, now I think about it, I think most cafes are kind of, most seating areas outside are kind of like fine with dogs, right? What sort of establishments are fine with dogs inside? And I don't mean just like guide dogs, I mean like all sorts of dogs. A doggy daycare, of course. A vet. I mean, these are the obvious ones. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I don't think I've like ever seen a dog in a shopping centre, let alone a guide dog in a shopping centre. I've seen very few guide dogs actually throughout my life as well. Now I think about it. I can only think of like 2 that I've like ever seen. I don't mean that as like a means of like, you know, like out and like I'm trying to like check off a list, being like, oh, you know, find a guide dog or something like that. It's just sort of like, it never really occurred to me, but I've not really seen like many guide dogs like whatsoever. Actually, we should check. Do we have like Nook My questions to do? I feel like I might just sort of stand here and just talk instead, because, you know, my mind's a bit like mind fog right now. Probably because it's so late at night, it's going to be a bit difficult to do things simultaneously while talking. But yeah, I don't know what. I'm trying to think of like public establishments which aren't the most obvious ones where I've actually seen dogs be allowed. And I can only really think of like outdoor seating and cafes, which I guess makes sense. I can't really refute that as like a non-suitable place for a dog, right? Yeah, and I genuinely can't think of like, I'm trying to think of like a store where like dogs are allowed in. Like, I don't even know if dogs were allowed in pet stores, from like the pet stores that, like, for whatever reason the area I grew up had like free pet stores for, I don't know why, I don't know how on earth you had a market for free pets. Well, one pet store I can see, but I don't know how on earth there was a market for multiple pet stores for businesses to open up. But, you know, fair enough. You might be like, oh, do they just sell pet supplies and things like that? No, they actually sold like hamsters, from hamsters and guinea pigs or whatever. Like my pet hamster was from there. for me, just like probably like guilt tripping my mother into actually just buying it just really randomly. It was, I remember, because I think both my father and my sister were on holiday somewhere, and I just like really wanted a hamster for such like a long time, and then my mum, you know, and bless my mum, just like bought me one for just spur moment thing, you know. My mother's quite like that sometimes, but I can't even imagine what my dad must have thought when he came back or whatever. It was just like, oh, you know, bought my daughter a hamster. Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, dogs probably aren't allowed in there either, because I don't know, I guess it's like little critters, just not like just about, but not just like loose like on the floor running about, but I suppose they're in cages and, you know, probably could be disturbed. I don't know. Again, a lot of this hinges on the fact that, you know, the dog would behave badly, which I don't necessarily believe that to be the case. I believe well, I don't know. I wonder what a majority of dog owners are not bad dog owners. Not necessarily good, but like at least neutral and above, right? Because I was going to be like, oh, you know, I like to believe that most dog owners are good dog owners, because why would you get a dog if you weren't willing to look after it? But I thought, then I think about it, you know, there's this dogs charity in UK called Dogs Trust, which always has very famous slogan: "A dog is for life, not just for Christmas." Because the amount of people who buy like dogs as like Christmas pets or Christmas presents or whatever, and then don't look after them because they are not not even well invested, but not well enough prepared or willing to actually look after a pet in the first place. Sad, really, but I see mosquito buzzing about. You know, why do we have a change of pace? Let's wait around in the town hall, I suppose. But then we don't get the outdoor music, which is a real shame. So I guess we'll just walk straight back out again. Yeah, dog owner. What was I thinking of this? I don't know. I really can't think of like any sort of dog-friendly establishments. I mean, I guess food places make them. For some reason, food places just feel like they make the most sense naturally. But I feel like I'm just making an association of dogs with food, which is fair. Like, I mean, it's not like dogs don't eat food. But it's like a lot of other places don't make sense. Like, would you bring a dog to a gym? I think I'd be most concerned about like a dog getting injured at like a gym or a sports center or something, because people like might like run into it or whatever if they're doing strenuous activity. Or like, what if someone like drops a weight on it? You know, what's going to happen like at a restaurant? I guess the worst thing would be like someone drops a plate, like a different type of plate, you know, like dining plate rather than sorry, just moving my graphics tablet, which was a bit in the way, rather than like a weight plate. I don't really know what you call the ones in the gym. In the workplace, you know, dogs can be brought into offices depending on, you know, how open your workplace is for dogs to be. But that's sort of like born out of necessity, isn't it? You know, people had to work for, you know, like whatever hours a day. A lot of dogs, you know, it feels a bit unfair to, you know, have a dog when like not be able to have it around in your day-to-day existence, right? You know, it's a fact that a dog has to sort of I don't know what I was gonna say, but a dog has to like just sort of stay at home and be lonely, right? It feels like a shame. I don't know. I'm gonna have this episode off here. Okay, I think I'm too tired for a conversation. Anyway, dog restaurant. It's kind of cool. Dog-friendly restaurant, and the dog was adorable. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Twitter, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Oh, I mean, okay, hold on. I'm too happy. Bye bye for now.